Hello and welcome to Reviews at Ryan, and today on the channel I'm going to be talking about the brand new animation sci-fi film called Delta Space Mission. This film was directed by Kaylin Kazan, and this is the only film that this director has ever done. Real quick before we dive into my thoughts, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button, give the video a like, and comment below your thoughts on this film, and also turn on the notification bells so you never miss any reviews that I make. And now without further ado, let's dive into my thoughts on this brand new animation film. On a research mission to a newly discovered galaxy heads the most advanced spaceship, Delta, operated by an extremely powerful electronic brain. Project Delta was conceived in order to establish a dialogue between intergalactic civilizations. Soon after, an alien journalist, Alma, was allowed to board the spaceship. She and the captain noticed that the superbrain that controlled the ship could act by itself. No one, however, counts on the fact that this artificial superintelligence will want to explore the area of human emotions and feelings. And for the fact that the actors that are listed on IMDb don't have character names or who they play, I'm just not going to say their names on this, but I will go ahead and just put their names in the description if you're really interested in knowing who plays the parts in this, but it doesn't say what characters they play. Delta Space Mission was made in 1984, and it is in Romanian language with English subtitles. And I have to say, going into this film, as Shudder sent this film to me, and this will be available on April 19th on VOD to check out if you are interested. Animation, I can simply admit that I really don't watch animation films. I don't really watch anime in general. Really, animation for me, my background of it is watching Nickelodeon and watching Hey Arnold and like Ah Real Monsters, Rugrats, Rocket Power, Rocko's Modern Life. Those are the kind of shows that I really watched growing up. I really didn't watch a lot of animation, and I still don't really watch animation. So I got sent this, and I was like, let's give it a try. Let's see how it is. And I do have to say that the music in this, it's really trippy. Some of the music in this, it really reminded me of Super Nintendo back in the day, especially when you're doing different levels and you're fighting villains. That kind of music really reminded me of that. And the animation itself is really kind of cool. I mean, it is in the 80s, so it's a little bit different than what we see today. But I thought that the colors, and if this is hand-drawn, which I assume it is, it looks really nice. The film starts out with these two astronauts, Anna and Dan, and they go to rescue this pilot because his ship is malfunctioning, and then they bring him back to safety, and they're about to do a mission with this Delta spaceship, and they meet this woman named Alma. She comes from another planet, another solar system. She has a dog named Tin. He looks like a frog, to be honest with you. And they have this mission where she is basically reporting how this mission is going to go and taking notes. And she notices this supercharged brain on the ship, and she kind of compliments the super brain, and the super brain ends up being obsessed with her and falling in love with her. And that's really where the story kind of begins. The Delta space mission obviously goes wrong, and then you kind of have your characters kind of going on different planets, and they're discovering all these random kind of creatures and such. And the film really focuses on Alma's dog, Tin. He kind of wanders off, and he's discovering all these different creatures. And I do have to say in this film that this film has a lot of narration and not a lot of dialogue from the characters. I really thought that that really hurt the film because we really didn't need every little thing to be explained the entirety of the film, and about 2/3 of the film is just narration in itself. There's a lot of points in the film where things are happening and there really is like characters walking around, and there's not really a lot of dialogue and not a lot happening. There is certain points where I really felt that this was kind of darker, and then there were certain parts of this where I felt it was very kid-like, especially the parts with Tin where he's playing around with these creatures and they're like tossing him back and forth. I really felt a kid's kind of vibe with this. I also felt that when there is certain dangers, it gets really cleared really quickly. It never really feels like there's really any kind of intense moments. It seems like it's very brief. And then the fact that the characters, they're not really developed that much. They don't really have a lot of lines. It's really hard to really root for really anybody in this, because how can you really get to know the characters if there's really no dialogue for them. You're knowing more of the narrator because he's just kind of telling you what's going on. I also felt with the story with the super brain and being obsessed with Alma, I really didn't really think that that really was very effective in the story. It seems like it's visited, but it really doesn't really pan out to really being anything more. I felt that the other astronauts that rescued the other pilot, that where his ship was not working properly, I really thought that they didn't utilize them that much. It just seemed like they were just kind of there and they showed you them and they told you their names, but they really just don't really do much with them. It's a lot of parts in this film where you kind of have Alma kind of wandering around in the planet, and she's walking around and she's stepping on random creatures, and then you have her dog. He's kind of really just exploring all these different planets and creatures, and you'll have, you know, some shootings and some random lasers being shot at, but it really just doesn't ever really come together. At times it feels very boring and it feels really long, and the film is only 68 minutes. It really feels kind of like a kind of pilot kind of show that they would test out and see if kids or viewers would like. It just doesn't really ever feel like it's a very well developed kind of script. It feels like they did a really good job of building the whole scenery with the sci-fi and the music, and just it looks really nice as far as how it's drawn and how it looks really nice with the colors, but it just doesn't ever really come together as a story. It feels very flat, it feels very dull, the characters feel very dull, and it's just really hard to get into. So wrapping up my thoughts on this, I would give a score of this a 2 out of 5. If you are interested in this, it will be on VOD on April 19th. I don't really know if this is really going to be something that many people will enjoy. It's kind of hard to recommend. I guess if you're a really die-hard animation fan and it really kind of excites you and you're into sci-fi, maybe you might check this out, but it just doesn't have a really appealing enough story to where I think much audiences will enjoy this film overall. But thank you guys for watching this review, and I'll see you guys on my next one.